Good morning, everybody, and welcome back for another Cold Water single mission. This is the Bastion Gambit, and you'll come to understand the title of the video, Be Patient, Young Skipper, eventually. I did pretty good at first. So you can see here I'm setting up my, this was from the 10th of July. I set up my sub to have two surface attack missiles, or two harpoons, I should say. Oh, one torpedo.
New contact bearing.
Rig ship for ultra quiet.
And one Moss. Because I'd played this mission a few times, it's pretty tough.
Sonar, new contact bearing. 031. Designated Sierra 2.
I had played this mission a couple times, and I know that there's a couple of surface defensive ships. Then there's at least one big boomer submarine that you're after.
Sierra 1 is classified as escort.
And as you can see here, there's at least two Udaloys in this mission.
Sonar, Sierra 2 is classified as escort.
So the mission here is to penetrate a heavily defended sub base where there is some kind of either cruise missile or ballistic missile submarine with a couple of defensive attack sub escorts and a couple of surface escorts as well. So you've got to get in there, sink them, and escape.
270, helm I.
And you get the USS Narwhal, which is a pretty quiet boat, generally. And so I'm setting up, I've detected the two surface contacts immediately.
200 feet, dive I.
So setting up for surface missile attacks on them.
Aye, sir.
Got them both off.
Aye, sir.
Reloaded with another harpoon and another torpedo.
Left 2,
and then turned away from the expected attack. Fired off the Moss towards them so they would hopefully detect that and counterattack, I should say. Loaded another Moss in tube 4 and decided I'd probably better get deep.
Make depth 400 feet, dive I.
That's another one of the difficult things of this is you're in a pretty shallow harbor or bay or whatever where it's only 511 feet to the bottom. So you don't have a lot of vertical room to play with. And the problem with the Udaloys is they have a close-in...
Tube 2 ready.
They have a close-in weapon defensive system that generally stops harpoons, so... Harpoons aren't a terrible idea to use against them, but one is probably not enough.
2-1, aye, sir.
You can see they've launched helicopters as well. So we've got helicopters here to worry about. We've got the Udaloy coming right at me. And the other Udaloy is turning in towards me as well because they know where the missiles came from, the two harpoons.
Torpedo room 2.
Sonar, torpedo in the water, bearing 051.
And there we have our first torpedo locking onto us from a helicopter torpedo drop.
Turns 4. Sonar, torpedo in the water, bearing 061.
There's two, and it's time for some underwater flying.
Sonar, lost contact. Sierra 1, last bearing 057. Contact is in the baffles. Sonar, lost contact. Sierra 2, last bearing 030. Contact is in the baffles. Sonar, torpedo in the water, bearing 109.
Torpedo room, tube 4 ready.
And we've got surface anti-submarine warfare aircraft overhead as well now, so things are about to get real sporty.
Shoot tube 4, aye, sir. Rig ship for ultra quiet.
Make turns. Sonar, we are cavitating.
The Moss worked pretty well for me there. As you can see, two torpedoes went chasing after it immediately, so that was nice. Decoyed a pair of torpedoes off, and there goes a third one after it as well. You can also see in the background to the right there, well, a torpedo just locked back onto me, but in the background there, they are
sonar,
firing
noisemaker bearing
ballistic.
034.
They're firing ballistic depth charges at my first Moss.
Con
so-
sonar, we are cavitating.
Passing 300 feet.
Thank goodness that torpedo turned off to the right as I turned hard off to the left.
Con sonar, noisemaker bearing.
Passing 300 feet.
You can see a pair of torpedoes chasing the first Moss up to the northeast. Another torpedo is chasing after the second Moss down in the south. And I am getting
sonar,
deep
no
again.
longer cavitating.
In order to stop from cavitating and get away from this mess of torpedoes coming after me here. There's one torpedo successfully dodged out of fuel.
Con, torpedo room, tube 4
Got a
ready.
torpedo coming in behind us here. So we'll
Con
do the
sonar,
usual.
noisemaker bearing 034.
Drop a noisemaker and change depth. Give me a little bit of room to decide to either go deep to avoid it or come shallow to avoid it. Starting some turns here to try and get knuckles formed, which is working so far.
Con, knuckle formed.
Dodged away from that torpedo.
Con, knuckle formed.
And it ran out of fuel and detonated, so we're doing alright. We have successfully evaded all of the torpedoes that were fired at us there
Con, torpedo room, tube 1 ready.
through a combination of evasive maneuvers and 2 Mosses fired off. However,
Rig ship for ultra quiet.
we haven't scored any hits of our own at the same time, so
Make depth 200 feet. Dive high.
it does look, however, like the Udaloy has drawn some very unwanted attention onto
Con
himself.
sonar, noisemaker bearing 015. Con sonar, new contact bearing 045.
Now that may or may not be-
3.
That may or may not be my torpedo that's after that
Con
Udaloy.
sonar, regained contact on Sierra 1, bearing 042.
But I don't really care, because as long as he gets sunk by a torpedo, that's all that really matters. So we've got a new contact. Pick him up and see if we can get a sonar typing on him. I'm expecting it to be a submarine, of course. I don't know if it's going to be one of the escorts or the boomer.
Con sonar, noisemaker bearing
Just
015.
not quite the right. The Delta 3
Con
is
sonar, Sierra 3 is classified as
There we go.
submerged submarine.
the Delta 4 that I set it as the classification wasn't quite right, and then Delta 3 got immediately upgraded the classification, so got him lined up, holding off just to make sure I get a better solution, and since I'm already at 200 feet, might as well fire off the 2 harpoons I've got loaded at the 2 ships.
Come left to 107 Helm I.
Just wait for a better solution on the closer Udaloy.
Con, dive at 200 feet. Dive high.
He's now running away from the torpedoes, so we'll
Shoot
try and
1. Aye, sir.
get the harpoon after him.
Shoot
And we'll fire the
2-2.
second one after
Aye,
him and see
sir.
if we can maybe overwhelm his Sea Whiz. And we'll work on a better firing solution on the Delta
Come
3.
left to 089 Helm I.
Now it looks like my own torpedo is chasing my own Moss up there, which is kind of hilarious. But the enemy torpedoes from the helicopters are probably chasing the Udaloy as well.
Make depth 400 feet. Dive I.
So the missiles are off. Might as well get deeper again so we're a little more difficult to detect. And get torpedoes ready to fire at the Delta 4 and
Con,
the
torpedo room, tube 1 ready.
Udaloy as soon as we get good solutions on them both.
Shoot tube 4. Aye, sir.
Con, sonar, lost contact. Sierra, 2, last bearing, 0, 2, 5. Contact breaking up.
And there is the Udaloy on the bottom. Probably from the harpoons. Most likely from, almost certainly from the harpoons. There were no torpedoes tracking around him. So finally have bagged one of our contacts.
Con, helm, steady course.
Rig ship for ultra quiet.
Con, sonar, lost contact. Sierra, 3, last bearing, 0, 4, 0. Contact faded.
You can hear a launch transient there from the Delta underwater. Don't have contact with them, but we could definitely hear it fire. So somewhere out there is a torpedo coming back towards us.
Con, dive at 400 feet. Dive I.
Presumably his launch was just a reciprocal
Make depth 500 feet. Dive I.
launch on the sound of our torpedo coming. There we can see the Delta's torpedo finally. He's fired a pair of them. I'm not as concerned
Dive at 500 feet. Dive I.
because I'm pretty sure those were... they went immediately into a snake search pattern.
Make turns.
So I'm pretty sure those were both
Make turns for 5 knots.
Rig ship for ultra quiet.
fired just on a reciprocal
Con,
bearing
maneuvering,
back down my
making turns
torpedo
for
launch
5
transient, so...
knots.
So I just set my own torpedo to go active beyond his torpedoes just to make sure that they don't somehow lock onto the torpedo screws.
Con, sonar, regained contact on. Sierra, 3, bearing, 0, 3, 4.
Rig ship for ultra quiet.
There he is. We've reacquired him on the sonar, and he is speeding up in a hurry. So I can now readjust my aim on my torpedo and the point for it to go active, which will be safely behind his torpedoes. Now, he's not necessarily right in that position, but he's down that line somewhere. So it's good enough for my torpedo. There's our sunken Udaloy. Good to see him on the bottom. Brought my torpedo up shallow because you can see where the Delta is on the conditions in the lower right. He's up pretty shallow compared to me, so steered the torpedo up shallow to hunt for him better up there. Here come the Delta's torpedoes finally. They finally made it all the way down here on their snake search pattern, so I'm ready for them. There's a little bit better solution on the Delta 3 up north. The Udaloy is closer. So at this point, I kind of figure, well, whatever my torpedo hits, it hits. If it takes down that second Udaloy, well then, so be it. That's a win for me. I can chase down the Delta after that.
Con, sonar, torpedo in the water, torpedo in the water, bearing, 0, 7, 0. Con, sonar, noisemaker, bearing, 0, 2, 5. Con, sonar, torpedo in the water, bearing, 3, 4, 0.
Passing 500 feet.
Con, fire control, weapon acquired.
And the Delta, finally, we've got a good solution on it, and it is well inside the range of the Udaloy, so...
Con, fire control, we've lost the wire.
My torpedo's got an acquire on him. I've got a pair of enemy torpedoes coming at me in a hurry here.
Con sonar.
Passing 4.
Con sonar. We are cavitating.
So I'm confident in letting my torpedo track on its own against a boomer, and I'm going to do some torpedo dodging.
Con sonar. Noisemaker bearing 020.
Passing.
Con sonar. No longer cavitating.
Passing 400 feet.
Con sonar. We are cavitating.
So you can see that the cavitation level here is right around 400 feet at this speed for the narwhal.
Con, knuckle formed.
Con sonar. Noisemaker bearing 015.
Passing 400 feet.
Con sonar. No longer cavitating.
There's the delta on the bottom. We've sunk the boomer we're here to sink.
Con maneuvering, making turn.
Con,
So
knuckle formed.
primary mission has been achieved. Now we've got to survive and
Passing.
get away from
sonar.
here.
We are cavitating.
If not, also sink all the other enemy ships that are
Con,
present.
knuckle formed. Passing 400.
Con sonar. No longer cavitating.
That was a close one right there.
Passing 400 feet.
Con sonar. We are cavitating.
Con, knuckle formed.
Con sonar. No longer cavitating.
Passing 500 feet. Passing 500 feet.
Noisemaker saved my bacon right there for sure. His countermeasure homing took him right away from a sure hit on my hull.
Con, knuckle formed.
There's one torpedo out of fuel behind me. And there's the other torpedo out of fuel behind
Rig
me.
ship for ultra quiet.
Phew!
Passing 400 feet.
Alright. No weapons in the
Come
water
left
near
to
me.
04.
Safely
Make turn
dodged.
for 10 knots.
Release
Maneuvering
ship from
on.
ultra quiet to finish reloading tube 4.
Ready. Make depth 350 feet. Dive I.
And then get back on the hunt after at least this remaining Udaloy and whatever else might be out there.
Con sonar. Regained contact on Sierra 1. Bearing 019.
Come right to 078. Helm I.
We did at least get some good work done. So I made a fatal mistake here shortly, where I decided that since I had no active contacts and no active torpedoes after me, I could afford to speed up time to get a better firing solution on that Udaloy and be able to fire torpedoes at him. And this is where the title of the video comes in, to just be patient, young skipper. Don't get ahead of yourself. There's still
Con,
helicopters
helm,
up there.
steady course.
There's still anti-submarine aircraft up
Con
there.
sonar.
And as you can
Torpedo in
see,
the water. Torpedo in the water. Bearing 352.
very, very
Con
bad
sonar.
mistake right
Torpedo in
there.
the water. Torpedo in the water. Bearing 334.
I sped up time, and that's when the first torpedo dropped, and then I hit the speed up time button again, not
Passing
realizing the
400
torpedo
feet.
was in the water, and it
Con
hit me
sonar. No longer
in
cavitating.
the sped up time because I made no defensive maneuvers at all. So we're in a lot of trouble right here, and we'll just let it play out.
Passing 500 feet.
And you can take this as a cautionary tale, you young Cold Waters players out there, or experienced Cold Waters players. Don't get antsy, don't get ahead of yourself.
Passing 500 feet.
because your crew is counting on you. So I took what was a pretty promising single mission and turned it into a... Well, I guess we're gonna go do that again. I did hit the Udaloy, the other Udaloy with something. I did sink the Delta that I was after, but I missed out on a Tango and a Kilo. And the other Udaloy escaped too. But anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this one. We'll get some more Cold Waters videos out soon. I will see about maybe finishing that one up. And I know I keep saying it in the videos, but I am going to start a campaign really soon. So let me know what you guys thought. We'll see you next time for some more Cold Waters. And thank you all for watching. Take care, and we'll see you next time.